Hey there, and welcome. Today we're diving into something really fascinating, and honestly, something that's often misunderstood. We're talking about the burden of brilliance, and why really smart people can sometimes, without ever meaning to, be a little bit intimidating. So let me just ask you this. Have you ever been in a meeting, or even just a conversation, where a problem comes up, and boom, your mind just takes off? It's connecting dots, seeing patterns, jumping way ahead to the solution, while everyone else seems to be just getting started. Okay, but what about the flip side? Have you ever been the one trying to follow along, listening to someone who seems to leap from one idea to a completely unrelated one, and you're just sitting there nodding, but inside you're thinking, wait, how did we get here? It feels like you're trying to catch smoke. Well, if any of that sounds familiar, then you've probably met or, maybe you've been what we're going to call the accidental intimidator. And this isn't about someone being arrogant or trying to look smart, not at all. It's about a fundamental disconnect in the way we sometimes think and talk. So what's really going on in those moments? Let's get into it. In part one, we're going to break down why this happens. What is it under the surface that can make a simple conversation feel, well, kind of overwhelming? First, let's get the definition straight, because the key word here is unintentional. This is so important. We're not talking about someone trying to make others feel small. It's more of a side effect, right? It's a mismatch between a brain that runs like a high-speed train and a world that often moves at the pace of a scenic railway. This right here, this visual really gets to the heart of it. See, most of us think in a pretty linear way. We go from A to B to C. It's logical, it's sequential. But a lot of highly intelligent people are pattern matchers. Their brains are like supercomputers, constantly scanning this huge database of everything they know. So when they hear A, they don't go to B. They make an instant connection to Z from a totally different field, which then reminds them of M. To us, it looks totally random, but to them, it's the fastest, most logical path to the answer. And that difference in thinking leads to these communication mismatches. For example, they might value directness so much that instead of easing into a critique, they'll just say, nope, that's wrong. They might talk about big, abstract ideas when the team just needs to know what to do next. A huge one is skipping what they see as obvious steps. They jump from problem to solution, and everyone else is left wondering what happened in the middle. And finally, their genuine love for a good debate, for just testing an idea, can really feel like a personal attack if you're not used to it. Okay, so we've seen how this can affect other people, but now let's flip the perspective. What does it actually feel like to be that person? The one with the bullet train brain? Understanding this part, this is where empathy really begins. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The biggest feeling isn't superiority, it's isolation. It's this quiet, nagging fear that the way you see the world is so different that you can never really share it with anyone. That you're speaking a language that nobody else seems to understand. And this chart, wow, this just makes that disconnect so clear. Look at what people see on the outside. A whopping 70% is perceived as negative stuff, arrogance and impatience, but then look at what's actually going on inside, what they're feeling. It's social anxiety. It's loneliness. It's that constant draining cycle of overthinking every single thing they said. The gap between perception and reality is just huge. And this isn't just a hunch. The data really backs this up. In some studies, as many as 80% of gifted individuals say they feel socially isolated. 80%. That's a staggering number. It paints a picture not of some out-of-touch genius, but of someone who is deeply craving connection. All right, so we've looked at the problem from both angles. The big question is, what do we do about it? The good news is, this isn't some fixed, unchangeable thing. There are real, practical ways we can build a bridge over this communication gap. And that's what part 3 is all about. And here's the most important part. This is a two-way street. It takes effort from both sides. So for the person with that fast-moving mind, it's about making a conscious choice to share your why. Don't just give the answer. Take a second to say, here's the pattern I saw that got me here. And then, and this is maybe the hardest part, just pause. Give people a moment to catch up. And for the listener, the key is to trade that feeling of intimidation for a feeling of curiosity. A simple question like, that's really interesting. Can you walk me through how you got to that conclusion? Can change the entire dynamic. It turns a lecturer into a discovery. And let's be super clear here. This is not, and I repeat, not about dumbing things down. Nobody wants that. The goal is not to have simpler thoughts. It's about building a better, stronger bridge so that more people can come along and explore those complex, amazing ideas with you. So let's pull all these ideas together. How can we reframe this whole thing to stop seeing it as a problem we have to fix and start seeing it as an opportunity for something, well, something better? When you get right down to it, we have a choice in these moments. We can see a mind that works differently and think of it as a wall between us, or we can see it as a starting point, an invitation to ask a question, to learn something we didn't know, and to see the world in a whole new way. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. The next time you're talking with someone whose mind just seems to be on a different track, whether it's faster or just different, what if you didn't see it as a gap to be overcome? What if you saw it as an open door, an invitation to step inside and explore something new together? Thanks so much for joining me today.